The mini category, they start off this Sunday afternoon with the finals. We had 44 drivers from the years 8 to 12 years old begin on the Friday, but only 36 are left for one last showdown. All competitors are running the IAME X30 Water Swift engine with a 60cc displacement providing 10 brake horsepower and 7 Newton meters of torque. Fuel provided by Panther and the tyres provided by Comet for a minimum weight of 110 kilos with driver included. This is going to be a very dramatic race. The superheats earlier on today, Jesse Phillips, who starts this one on pole position, finished his superheat in P5 after having a defensive masterclass all the way to the end, unfortunately losing out on that one. Dan Allemann, who starts alongside, won his superheat race. He starts alongside on that one, and crucially, he comes away with a nice chunk of points as well, finishing second overall. He received 9 championship points, Jesse Phillips receiving 10. Jesse Phillips going into this final now leads the championship by only 3 points from Archie Lovett. Very, very close.
It's going to be close from start to finish, but watch out for this young man, Dan Allemann from Switzerland and Spirit Racing. Is the one alongside Jesse Phillips on the front row of the grid. And Dan Allemann has been really giving us some goosebumps all throughout the qualifying heat with good progress. He was only 17 qualifying, making his way up to the front row with a victory in the Superheat 1. Behind, we can have on row number 2, Maxim Bobreshov, that you could see from with his mechanics. Last handshake for Maxim Bobreshov, ready to go from the inside line on the second row of the grid. Is going to have by his side Jarlath Sayer from Great Britain, another of the many Fusion Motorsport drivers that we've seen fighting at the forefront. Jarlath Sayer, who's been one of the contenders throughout the qualifying heats, picking up 2 second places, and it will be one to watch from the outside of row number 2.
5-minute board goes up. Ross Upton there at the front of the grid. Nice little shake of the hand there for Valerio Villapina, who starts this one on the 3rd row of the grid. One of the new drivers into the championship this year. His first appearance in the IAME Euro Series has certainly surprised us. The Italian driver putting it on the 3rd row of the grid, starting this race in P5. He finished his superheat earlier on today, second in that one. Overall, in the points classifications, he finished 5th. So he actually gains, in his first appearance here, 5 championship points, which certainly is a good showing. Starting alongside him, though, the French driver, Zack Zhu, the treble 9, who did have a race win in his final race yesterday. He finished his superheat in 10th. Overall in the race. He rounded out the 6th place spot in terms of points, so he comes away with 4 championship points as well, so he certainly had a good weekend. You can see there the crowds lining up at the edge of the circuit, ready to watch this fantastic race in this one that we are going to see. From Bulgaria, out on there, Ruykov, Lyuboslav, who starts this one on the 4th row of the grid. He finished 7th in his superheat, and overall he finished 7th overall in the points classification, meaning he gets away with a few championship points in his first appearance in the IAME Euro Series this year. Certainly a real shake-up in the top order, but a very exciting one. There, starting alongside Daniel Miron, who finished 4th in his superheat as well. He certainly had a good one. He finished 8th overall in the points classification, so he comes away with 2 championship points in this one, certainly adding to his tally. Out on circuit, he moves up a small bit in the championship, certainly helping him out in his championship. He was 9th going into this one. So, yeah, certainly had a good one. Rest of the field then will get themselves lined up. There's only a few minutes to go. There you can see the 3-minute board about to go up. Guillaume, this has been an exciting weekend. We have seen drama all the way throughout, but can you pin it on one driver in this one? Yes, Jesse Phillips has been a dominant performance, but Allemann has beaten Phillips on track. There's a couple of other people also have as well. So you can't put it on anyone in this, can you?
And including this young guy, Leonidas Peruzzi, who's going to be starting from 9th on the grid. A bit of a stretch to get himself ready. Is one of the drivers that we've seen battling in the superheat this morning, trying to find his way through. And a good finish for him. A 3rd place in the first superheat this morning put him within the top 10 for the final this afternoon. Clear the grid is out. Thank you, Ross Upton, judge of fact and responsible of all the grids in the qualifying heats and the finals this weekend. As always, watch out as well for another man who has been really progressing through the ranks in recovery mode from France, Théo Polican, representing the Jarlath Racing. These are some of the names that are in the middle of the pack, but we have shown great deal of pace as we're entering the latest phase of the weekend. So danger can come from behind. We expect, of course, the usual protagonist to fight at the forefront. Jesse Phillips has been really on a dominant form ever since the start of the weekend. Is, of course, your current leader of the overall championship for 3 points from Hachilovat, who, unlike his first 2 rounds of the IAME Euro Series that he won, had a nightmare weekend so far. So Hachilovat is going to have a bit of work to do. He's starting from P16 on the grid. Mr. Martin Bean and Gonzalo Planter on the picture. The race director, Martin Bean, on the left side, is the one who's going to be unleashing the young guns for the race of 13 laps on schedule. The first of 3 races this afternoon. Now the drivers are left on to the grid, and you can see that one of them actually is waiting until the last second to get into his kart. Everybody actually in the drivers has his own little gimmicks or his own preparation. Some of them like to sit quite a few minutes in advance. Some of them at the last minute, and you could see handshake, you could see stretch, you could see full concentration. Some of them like to take it maybe a bit more easily, not to get too much pressure on them, on their shoulders. So everybody has their own way to approach a race of that magnitude. Now they are left within themselves, in their own focus, in their own bubble, ready to go for 13 laps. But who will take the win for round 3 of the IAME Euro Series? That's a good question. That's the million-dollar question that we like to ask ourselves before we get going. Will it be Jesse Phillips? Can it be Dan Allemann? Can it come from further back? Can Zack Zhu be the definite revelation of this weekend? Can we see some wonders again from Maxim Bobreshov and Jarlath Sayer? A lot of questions and a lot of answers needed.
Yes, indeed. Here we go then, Mini X30 final one. The whistle blows and it's the next race that will take to the circuit as everyone fires up. A couple of drivers not actually starting and everyone just trying to find a piece of track. But here we go. Here's the starting lineup. Jesse Phillips and Dan Allemann go from the front row. Maxim Bobreshov and Jarlath Sayer go from row 2. Valerio Villarpeña and Zack Zhu round out row 3 with Ruykov. Lyuboslav on row 4 with Daniel Miron alongside. Leonidas Peruzzi and Theo Polican go from row 5, rounding out the top 10. Will Green and Max Endicott go from row 6. Noah Grenier and Stan Fargo and all French row 7, they go from that row. Mason Brooks and Archie Lovett, who is finished first in his race. He finishes and starts this one on the 8th row. Kanish Grau and Gustavo da Silva, who qualified it on pole on Friday. He starts this one in P18 on the 9th row. Francois Kerdel and Austin Newstead round out the top 20.
In the second part of that grade, Edouard Godefroy and Ludwig Grankist will be on row number 11, followed by Brian Bruno and Manny Nuvolini, row number 12. Row number 13, we have Bosco Arias and Tony Cacciaferro, followed by Didier Krieft and Benjamin Manag. Then we have Janek Babisek and Stig de Radermacher on row number 15. Nicolo Perico and Harry Williams, row 16. David Min-Chuana and Angelina Simons-Torres on row number 17, followed by Romeo Melo and Sebastian Riedel. 36 names on the grid, 36 drivers with us as we go into the 2 warm laps. The first one to get the tires up to temperature as always. Watch out for not too much excessive waving of the tires. Some of them in the superheats this morning came close to go spinning while putting those tires up into temperature. And the second lap to get the grid information. Joanna Falcao and David Manchester, the responsible of head control within the RGMMC facilities. All eyes on the many screens that they have in their desk, making sure that everything is going according to plan, and if any penalties has to be applied, this will come from the experience and the many footage that they're able to watch, and will watch over and over to make sure that everybody goes through and that there's no bad maneuvers whatsoever within that field. Let's see about that as the drivers are now getting back to the turn number 14. Keep a good watch on that hairpin. This is the penultimate turn before the start-finish straight. This is where we've seen most of the decisive moves for the victories and strong positions all throughout the weekend.
Here we go then, into the tram lines. Is it green flag? First time of asking. No, it's not. They go round again. And, well, you can imagine the tension here is starting to rise because as we near the end of the championship points become vital. Remember, 25 championship points are up for grabs for the race winner in this one. That is a huge amount of points for anyone out there in this one. Like we say, the championship is separated by just 3 going into the final round. In Henk next month, at the end of August, we head to the Belgian forest. But like we say, the tension at the moment here, palpable. The temperature at the circuit has gone up. I think the wind has calmed a little bit as well. The humidity going down also. It is a lovely July's day here in northern Italy, and certainly a fantastic venue, Franciacorta, to host the 3rd round of the Miami Euro Series. We were here only once before for Champions of the Future, and I think we decided a championship at this venue as well, into the hairpin at turn 14 that they are approaching now. Pasquale Lopoli there just advising the drivers to ease it down. Get yourself ready, take it steady. Here we go then. It's final time for Mini X30. 44 whittled down to 36 drivers over the course of this weekend. The 2 superheats and now the final. One more corner to go then, into the tram lines. Here we go. Green light goes out. Great start from Phillips, and a contact in the background and a spin in the middle of the field. It's the 911 that goes round, and it's a disaster from the back of the field. Harry Williams, who had a disaster, and more have gone off. More have gone off at turn number 2. And, well, tried to call it.
Yeah, Nicolo Perico, who had lost him in the first place on the start-finish straight. Let's try to see who got involved. We had 4 drivers into the mix, more than that even. Stan
Fargo was one of them. Mason Brooks, Archie Lovett, Kinish Grau, so 2 of the Oliver Rowland Motorsport drivers, and a very furious 918 there. And
this will be for the back, Mani Nuvolini, who was caught up as well. So we've lost in the process up to 4 or 5 drivers, including Archie Lovat, that we expected to make his way through, as we're back in the lead with a first switch of position. And this is Bobreshov who takes the lead just before the end of lap number 1. It's about finding your place and pace into that opening sector. And one of the Fusion drivers in trouble on the curb. You see that on the corner of your picture. As we conclude lap number 1. 12 to go. Bobreshov in the lead in front of Jesse Phillips, Peruzzi, Viapiana, Sayer, Lyuboslav, Green, Allemann, Miron Lorente and Polican running up the top 10. And the drivers that we lost, a couple of them at the back end of the grid, as Mason Brook, Archie Lovat, Kanish Rao, Mani Nuvolini, Nicolo Perico are the drivers involved into that double incident into the opening lap. I think that most of them might still be with us on track, which is always good news. But in the lead, as you can see, this is still very mixed up, as around the inside goes for second Viapiana on Peruzzi.
Yeah, Viapiana with a beautiful move there, moving up into second place. It's been a terrible start for Dan Allemann, the driver who started on the front row. Sees him down in P7 now on the recovery drive. As you can see, their drivers making the move. Lyuboslav, one of those drivers. Allemann trying to follow as well. Out of the final corner, back over the start-finish line. Bobreshov leads, but look at him holding that inside line as they go in towards turn number 1. Absolutely flat out on these karts through turn number 1 as Stig de Rodemaker sees a warning flag, and that is Kanish Grau, who is in the pit lane and out of this final. What a disaster.
And what a disaster that is, unfortunately, for the RM driver, who is pushing back his kart into the Parc Fermé. And you can see certainly in the background some of the mechanics on the bridge giving information advice to the young drivers. You might not see them actually on the live stream, but it's very crowded as there's a more switch of position for the lead.
Oh, in the
contact, I think briefly. We're losing Viapiana, unfortunately.
Yeah, the driver who started this one on the 5th row comes back onto the circuit now, but well down the order. The Italian, who was certainly a surprise to see at the front in the Miami Euro Series in his first appearance. The local driver, clearly with great circuit knowledge, unfortunately dropping down the order. Now, here Peruzzi up into second place and now into the lead. The Fusion driver, who had a challenging first half of the day, is certainly shining here. And at the moment, he leads this final with still 10 laps to go. Bobreshov, though, looks to the inside through turn number 5 and takes it. Phillips dives down through as well, and the train follows. Miron goes through, Allemann goes through as well. And now Peruzzi drops down into that bottom spot. I've got to say, it's looking very good here for the Fusion team. But Maxim Bobreshov, a lone George Gibbons Motorsport driver at the front of this field, is down the inside. Miron gets that move done, moves up into third place. Phillips, though, all over the rear bumper of Bobreshov and looks to the inside here at turn 14, into the hairpin, gets it done. Daniel Miron follows as well. Bobreshov down into third.
Yeah, good teamwork from the Fusion teammates over there, because there was no way that Bobreshov could resist quite efficiently enough. Phillips, Miron Lorente 1 and 2, Bobreshov down in 3. Then we have Sayer, Peruzzi, 2 of the other Fusion Motorsport drivers in the top 5, followed by Dan Allemann, who is willing certainly to make up for some ground lost. He still has a lot of time and laps, Dan Allemann, and is standing right now, maybe taking advantage of the battle between Sayer and Peruzzi just in front of him. The Swiss drivers are very close to the top 4 still, as Theo Polican, the Frenchman, is putting out the fastest lap in this race. He lost a couple of places still in P7, just behind Dan Allemann. Then we have Green, Lyuboslav, and Bosco Arias in P10. And Bosco Arias doing a great job as well. Can you imagine? He climbed 15 places in the course of 5 laps, not even. Incredible pace from the Spaniard driver from Team Driver Racing Kart, who had a nightmare weekend, but is showing some great momentum since the start of this race. He's just entered the top 10, and watch out for him. If he's able to keep that recovery going, it might actually be in contention close to the podium, as Phillips is holding off Miron Lorente in the meantime. Those two having to work together, but resisting in the meantime. Bobreshov, who has nothing to lose in that race, is the one against 3 other of the same team. Is the wild card, so to speak, the one that we didn't expect to fight at the forefront. A new name, a new face, and it's all even better for the show.
Yes, indeed it is. Phillips then continues to lead as Bobreshov now dives down the inside of Daniel Miron, moves back up into second place. That brings Jarlath Sayer back into the fight here, as you can see there in P4. Go in towards turn 14 again, and Bobreshov looks to the inside of Phillips and forces him to go wide there into the entry of the corner and secures that spot on the exit. Rest of the field still coming through. Another driver who I want to keep a very close eye on, Zdeněk Babacek for the Teps Racing team. He's up 20 positions right now. He's in P9, is Zdeněk Babacek. He is on a charge out there. The driver from the Czech Republic certainly showing good form out here at Franciacorta. Down in towards turn number 5. Sayer's got up into third place now as he's gone through past Miron. Miron's gone down into P5 as Dan Allemann's got through as well. So, and Allemann with the fastest lap of the race as well. So certainly showing that he's got some pace out there. Bobreshov now starting to open up a little bit of a gap here. Phillips not able to respond as down the inside. Bobreshov goes on Jarlath Sayer. Gets that done. Miron follows as well, so chopping and changing. That gives Phillips a little bit of breathing space here to go to work on Bobreshov. And again, side by side, back down the inside. Daniel Miron gets it done on Allemann, and he can't follow. That's going to bring in the 2 drivers just behind, actually. That's going to bring in Bosco Arias, who's up 19 positions into P6, and Lyuboslav, who's still there in P7. He's not gained or lost any positions, but he's still in a prime location here. Race nearly ending, around 5 laps to go in this race, and Phillips checks over the shoulder, sees what's going on behind, but crucially, you see that? Did not go for the move. He has stayed behind. He is going to try and push Bobreshov now to try and extend that gap, but how much of a gap can he open up? It's 0.4 of a second at the moment. Will it increase or decrease as the race goes on?
A similar strategy applied by both Miron Lorente and Dan Allemann. Did not attacking each other just yet. They have a couple of meters left to try to gain on Bobreshov and Phillips. Interesting strategy is happening through the course of that final. But as you said, time is going to start to run out for the contenders of the mini class as we're getting near checkered flag. Bosco Arias and Lyuboslav for the back, working together as teammates as well on Team Driver Racing Kart from P6 and P7. They want to try to get invited into that party, of course, with a couple of big prizes. Only the top 3 drivers will get rewarded at the end of this one. Bobreshov might pick up the golden ticket, but he's going to have to go defensive quite a bit against Jesse Phillips at all the corners. But right now, no move whatsoever. It allows actually Miron Lorente to close up on his teammate from Fusion Motorsport. Now it's about certainly team result, but also personal results when it comes to a final, of course. We've seen in the qualifying heats that some of the Fusion Motorsport drivers came together, unfortunately, in search of a good result in a 1-2. This time around, let's try not to do anything unwise, because there's one prey, and this is the one in the lead, Maxim Bobreshov. And you can see that further back, the gap is slightly decreasing between Bosco Arias and Lyuboslav. They're still driving formation, having to climb half of a second still on Jarlath Sayer in P5. A long line of drivers still into the top 10 as the recovery keeps on going for Janek Babisek. 21 positions gained for the Czech Republic driver up into P8. We seem to have lost Max Andekot, at least a couple of positions for the British driver. Oh,
3 cuts off. And who was involved in that one? I've got a feeling it could have been Tony Cachefero and Noah Grenier. And I think Sebastian Reidel was also a driver who went off there. And, well, that would have been a disaster. I think there's also more as well. Harry Williams, Archie Lovett, and Manny Nuvellini, I think, also there on the side of the track and out of the race. 9:39. And that is Tony Cachefero of Fusion Motorsport.
There's a move for the lead. Bobreshov actually lost not just 1, but 2 places in the process. Sorry to cut you off, Anthony. But Bobreshov has gone from the chase driver to the chaser, but he found himself in the close of Dan Allemann down in P4. Well, what a ton of event that is for Maxim Bobreshov. We thought for a moment that he was going to have the upper hand, going defensive against both Miron Lorente and Phillips. But now that race has just turned on its head. And let's see if he's going to be able to defend against Dan Allemann.
Exactly that. Let's see. Let's find out. Not long left in this race. We know what happens when we come to the last couple of laps. And we're seeing that right now. Bobreshov dives down the inside of Daniel Miron and moves back up into second place. But keep an eye on Phillips now. He's got the clean air, but crucially, he's got no one giving a bump. Look at the slipstream there from Bobreshov. Down the inside and takes the race lead. Phillips now dropping to P4. Miron goes through. Allemann goes through. Phillips now down back into P4. Now they cross the line. A couple of laps to go. And Maxim Bobreshov leads this race. Down the inside looks Daniel Miron there, but thinks against it as they exit out of turn number 3 through turn 4. Down the infield straight. I heard tyre squealing in the background there. Potentially someone off in the distance. But all eyes are on these top 5 here at the moment. A quick replay here of what happened earlier on. There's the reason why I heard the tyre squeal. The 9:59 is off the track.
And you see a big contact in the replay as well.
Oh, dear me.
Big crash. This is Noah Grenier actually that was sent off by one of the Fusion and hit on the side. That took a couple of drivers out, and the 9:55.
Is that Bobreshov?
Yes!
Is that Bobreshov? Maxim Bobreshov, who was leading this race, has found himself out of it. He is down the order. He's devastated. And what happened there? For the GGM Motorsport driver, he is out of it. Allemann leads the way from Phillips and Sayer as we go on to the final lap. And Phillips is instantly on the attack here. Allemann dives to the inside line. Remember, Dan Allemann won his superheat earlier on today. I'm sure he'd like to replicate that with a win in this final. Down they go in towards turn number 5. Here's the replay of what happened to Bobreshov. And it was a move. It was Daniel Miron who went down the inside and clipped the side of him, and both of them went off. What a disaster. There's action happened earlier on as through has gone. Who's that?
Lyuboslav.
That's Lyuboslav. Where on earth has Lyuboslav come from on this final lap? He is now leading this race. He was in P4 at the start of this lap.
Oh, is it Bosco Arias? My apologies.
It might be. Hold on.
This is Bosco Arias.
It is. Arias, sorry about that, folks. Wrong person we've called out. So, yes, it is Bosco Arias who leads the way, and he is going in towards turn 14 now on the inside. But watch out. Here comes everyone else. Who's going to get the run out of it? Allemann's there in second place. Phillips is going to go for third place. But out of the final corner, it is going to be your man, Bosco Arias.
Wow.
Just across the line. Bosco Arias takes it from Dan Allemann. And Lyuboslav, who crosses the line in third place. Well, what a final. How on earth did that happen? That Bosco Arias, who on that last lap, he came from P24. on this grid. He gained 24 positions on this. In fact, no, he started this race P25 in this race. On the 13th row of the grid, we didn't even mention his name until the final lap. We had no idea he was coming through the field at such pace.
We're gonna need to see those replays once again, but look at him punch in the air. Enjoy Bosco Arias. He actually had a win in the qualifying heat, not on track, unfortunately, Bosco Arias. But in the meantime, no, actually, he had a win on track, but he actually got it taken away for Valerio Viapana after a penalty. So he lost a win on the ground, and he took it back brilliantly. What a recovery, 25th on the grid, and first at the line 13 laps later. This must be to date one of the best drives we have seen in the mini class in the IAME Euro Series. With what a recovery. 24 places gained for Bosco Arias from Team Driver Racing Kart in that last lap, taking the win, snatching it from Dan Allemann with Lyuboslav rounding out the top 3. Jesse Phillips having to make do with P4 at the end of that crazy final. And look at the congratulations for the AC Motorsport driver. At least he's wearing the AC colors, but is competing this weekend with the mini team of the Car Republic factory. Fantastic performance for the Team Driver Racing Kart team with the Car Republic machine. Oh, your race winner from Spain, Bosco Arias. Fantastic piece of driving for young Bosco. Now, we thought for a moment that his weekend could actually go from worse to worse, but he proved that once again, as always, a race and a weekend are never finished before the last checkered flag. He proved that once again in brilliant manner. 24 places gained up into P1. And this will be a well-deserved race of champagne.
Well, Bosco Arias there comes away, and with his first appearance in the IAME Euro Series here for round 3, he puts himself 8th in the championship with 25 championship points. Well, certainly a fantastic first appearance in the series. Here's a look at some of the replays then of what actually happened through that race and some of the incidents that we saw there. Teo Polican, one of the drivers who was unfortunately involved in one of those incidents, and I think Tony Cachafero was the driver who had to retire from that one. Another couple of the drivers, the 927 also involved. That's Edward Godfroyd, who also went off the track, the 972 as well, who also went off, and certainly a very dramatic end to that one. Well, there you can see the usual suspects at the top 3 on this one. You saw Miron, Bobreshov and Phillips, who were at the front. Bobreshov would go for the move to get the lead, but disaster would strike later on as Daniel Miron and Bobreshov would collide. Phillips would go to the back of that train into P4. He would fight back. There is the contact that unfortunately meant Bobreshov was out of the race and contention. Daniel Miron obviously involved in that one as well. Then as we go on to the last lap, it was, well, a complete change around. Bosco Arias, after gaining 24 positions, crosses the line, and there you can see Lyuboslav, who crosses the line in P3. Also incredibly ecstatic. There he is, right in your screen there.
So we're gonna reward first the driver in 3rd place, and please welcome Mr. Bonara Ettore, the owner of the track, giving out the trophy to Yukrov Lyuboslav. Congratulations, Yukrov, well done to you. 2nd position goes to Dan Allemann. And finally, your winner after a fantastic recovery, Bosco Arias. And well done once again to Team Driver Racing Kart and to Mr. Davide De Lucchi. Congratulations, Team Driver. Congratulations, Bosco Arias. Your top 3 driver of the mini category, ladies and gents, in Franciacorta. Fantastic performance to the 3 of you as we can join to the trophies and the celebrations, the champagne, of course, for the last picture of the season. You can get close, guys, on the podium. Let's get close together for the pictures, all 3 of you. Try not to step out of the podium when you do that, but give us a big smile. Give us those trophies in the air, and watch out not to step on your helmet. You don't want to scratch them for the next race. That's what I'm talking about. Round of applause, please, once again, for the top 3. of the mini class. Bosco Arias, Dan Allemann, and Ruykov, Lyuboslav. And of course, it wouldn't be complete without the well-deserved champagne for the three of you. It has been hot on and off the track, and this will be certainly a good refreshment for you guys. Try not to spread it on the helmet. Ready? Champagne! And everything from Mr. Davide De Lucchi. A well-deserved champagne shower at the end of a busy and intense weekend for all of you guys. Thank you very much indeed for the mini category, as we're going to move on to the junior class as soon as, don't forget your helmet, of course, and your trophies to make sure that you have everything on board with you for the next race in Genk. Now, let's move on to the junior category, as we're going to celebrate the top three of what has been another fantastic final. Let's have a quick interview as well before he actually goes out. Yes, please, in the center. If we can have maybe Bosco Arias with us. Can someone call Bosco for me? Bosco, of course, join us for one last moment. We'd like to hear your thoughts about this race. All right, in the center, just in front of the number one. Bosco, what a fantastic race. 24 places recovered, and you made it to P1. Talk us through that race, because it was madness.
Yeah, I'm very happy for the result. I have to say thank you for the team. It was a great job, and we keep working to the next race that is gonna go good. And thanks for the team.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for those few words, and well done to you, and good luck in Genk for round 4 of the IMA Euro Series. Bosco Arias, ladies and gentlemen, your winner of the mini category.